Welcome. Would you join me for a cup of tea and a nice chat about some Fallout lore? My deep dive series into Fallout New Vegas and its DLCs is now complete, but I did mention in the Lonesome Road video that at a certain point during its research and production, I went down a speculative road in regards to its canonical ending. Now, there is no canonical ending to New Vegas nor Lonesome Road, at least not to my knowledge, and there might never be one for a long time, but I'll talk about real world politics later. Let's focus on the fictional ones in Fallout New Vegas. As far as the endings are concerned though, even though Lonesome Road takes place before the second Battle of Hoover Dam, I argue that it could also work as an ending, because within it there's the potential of an almost tabula rasa type ending. So let's go back to the very ending of Lonesome Road and look at what the game tells us in more detail. After we deal with Ulysses and the Marked Men incursion, the missile launch terminal gives us a bunch of options. But as I said in the Lonesome Road video, by far the most interesting and intriguing choice is to redirect the missiles to target both the NCR and Caesar's Legion. Let's remember that this is where the terminal first mentions missiles, plural. After selecting the option, the terminal says missiles again, and also that it will launch them, quote, in the heartland of the NCR and the lands held by Caesar's Legion, end quote. We confirm and see the missile launch. But I've made sure to emphasize that there are several missiles being launched, because keep in mind the Divide has a bunch of nuclear silos within it. Even if at the end we only see two mushroom clouds, they're more just a representation of atomic destruction, the closest explosions, because even when we chose to nuke one of the locations, the terminal still refers to missiles being launched and we only see one mushroom cloud. All of this is to set the fundamental things that we know to be true and valid. These are the facts from which we will discuss and speculate further. As a result of this nuke both option, many nuclear missiles are sent both into Legion territory and, more relevant to my interest, into NCR territory. When we target only Caesar's Legion, the terminal says that the missiles will target, quote, the lands east of the Colorado controlled by Caesar's Legion, raining nuclear fire down on its cities and its tribes, end quote. We haven't really been east of the Colorado in the Fallout franchise, so that does not interest me for the purposes of this video. However, when we launch against the NCR only, the terminal says that the missiles will target, quote, the heartland of the NCR, raining nuclear fire down on its cities, plural, and its people, end of quote. And if we've played through the entire Fallout franchise from the start, we have been through what would most likely be considered the NCR heartland back in Fallout 2 and somewhat in Fallout 1, since the events in Fallout 1 are a precursor to the forming of the NCR. After the ending slides, the game messages us explaining that your merciless nuclear assault has devastated the lands of both the Legion and the NCR, and reached even the borders of the Mojave, and you can see what you did at the Mojave outpost, where you can now visit the Long 15 and find a devastated NCR outpost. And this is where we start speculating, because like I said earlier, there is no canonical ending to Fallout New Vegas, as opposed to the first two and even Fallout 3, in which the canonical endings can be inferred from references within New Vegas and Fallout 4. There is nothing that references what the in-world canonical ending of New Vegas is, because the fate of Hoover Dam is basically peanuts compared to the destructive potential of this ending of Lonesome Road. So let's get a map out and go through a quick lesson in Fallout universe history. The NCR came into existence between the events of Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. As a result of the Vault Dweller saving Tandy from the cons, she steadily became a more prominent political figure and grew Shady Sands into what would eventually be the seed of the NCR. So much so that in Fallout 2, what used to be Shady Sands is simply called NCR, it having become its capital. Between Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas, the NCR became a federation containing 5 states, namely Shady, Los Angeles, Maxon, Hub, and Dayglow. The state of Shady is made up of Shady Sands, obviously, Vault 15 and Junktown, as well as a bunch of other smaller settlements in between and around these. The state of Los Angeles is made up of the Boneyard and Addendum. The state of Maxon is mentioned in Fallout 2, 3, and New Vegas, and it's most likely a settlement built close to or around the Brotherhood of Steel bunker from Lost Hills. The State of Hub is basically the hub from Fallout 1, the largest trading hub in the region. Dayglow was founded near the West Tech bunker known as The Glow in Fallout 1, initially by the founders of the Followers of the Apocalypse, but they moved because of the radiation. The area was resettled then by ghouls who started scavenging the West Tech bunker and became such a prominent city-state that it was one of the 5 founding states of the New California Republic. Other settlements that joined the NCR are Arroyo, Modoc, New Reno, Redding, Sacktown, and Vault City. Phew, that's a lot of information for those of you who have never played Fallout 1 or 2. But I needed to do that crash course in order for you to understand what it is that I'm gonna say going further. Since we launched several missiles and raid nuclear fire on the NCR cities, let's think about what that could mean now that we have some names and maps. I think it's safe to assume that the capitals of each of the states gets nuked. So that means that Shady Sands, New Adytum, Lost Hills, The Hub, and Dayglow all get nuked. That right there would be an immense amount of nuclear destruction, but considering that some of the other cities were fairly important as well, we can further assume that at the very least, New Reno and Vault City got nuked as well. What would this mean for the fictional West Coast is that most of the progress and rebuilding work that has happened in the past 200 plus years would most likely be wiped off the board. The only place that could stand a chance to survive would be the Brotherhood bunker and Vault City, but we know from the Glow what happens when a bunker gets a direct hit, so that possibility might not hold water either. Of course, there would be some survivors here and there at the outskirts of the blast, but the ground and air would be freshly re-irradiated, and this is a great twofold opportunity. On the one hand, it would allow for the OG locations to be revisited and have them look nothing like they did back in Fallout 1 and 2. On the other, it would also allow for some very interesting new storytelling and gameplay opportunities focused on day-to-day survival as opposed to scavenging and rebuilding. Ghouls could have moved into the destroyed areas almost immediately, and who knows what the new radiation spikes could birth.
So one day the two species will crossbreed to form an all-powerful race of mice spiders who will immobilize human beings in giant webs in order to steal chi.
Or maybe the entire human population has become so accustomed to remnant radiation over the generations that they would be more prone to being ghoulified. Or simply more would survive the radioactive aftermath. Those ideas are just off the top of my head. The storytelling potential in turning the clock back 200 years while actually advancing time in the world is super intriguing for a storyteller such as myself. Unfortunately, this is highly unlikely to be the canonical end of Lonesome Road for a couple of reasons. And this is where we get into the real world considerations. One of them being that in general, the canonical endings of the Fallout games tend to be positive in nature. Maybe not great, but definitely not downwards. Keep in mind that there have been negative endings ever since the first Fallout, in which the Vault Dweller sides with the Master and gets Vault 13 attacked. There's also the possible ending of Dead Money where you partner up with Elijah and weaponize the Cloud. So an ending in which everything you've done during the first 2 games would be completely negated most likely will not get the green light. Then there's the fact that we might never in fact get actual information about any sort of canonical ending for New Vegas or Lonesome Road, because Bethesda is a bunch of whiny punk ass bitches who have gone out of their way to not reference New Vegas in Fallout 4, because they're still pissed that New Vegas was made by Obsidian and is considered to be superior to their own internal made Fallouts. So most likely, until there is a change in leadership and management within Bethesda, we might never find out what exactly happened with New Vegas, the NCR, or the Legion. But now is where I hand it over to you in the comments. What do you think about my speculative path? Do you agree that nuking both the NCR and the Legion would be very fertile ground for new storytelling opportunities or not? What do you think is the most likely canonical ending to New Vegas?
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and also share it wherever you think it makes most sense. It would also be great if you'd consider subscribing and clicking that bell notification button. That last part is super important for small channels such as my own. I also have a Patreon page. If you're so inclined, please go check that out. I've been Steve with Nonsense. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of the day and see you next time.